Lenox, president of Chess Vets. Today I'm bringing you a fun one. This is my wife, Lia Lenox. She's playing Sam Middlebrooks. A little backstory. Lia basically terrorized him last year on the chessboard, so he calls her the Dragon Lady. Thank you very much and enjoy.
Hello everyone, this is Lia Lenox with Chess Vets and welcome to my game with Sam Middlebrooks. Let's get started, shall we? Looks like he opened up with the C pawn. I went with textbook, king pawn opening. I like to stay with the basics, get my opening solid, work on the developments. He came up with a E pawn, I guess to keep me from advancing. And bring out my bishop, also part of my develop regimen. You get those basics solid and it'll help you a great deal in your games. He brought in a B pawn. Not quite sure his logic in bringing up his pawns like that, but to each their own, right? Okay, so then I bring up my queen. I did that to see if he falls for the quick checkmate, but I doubt he will, seeing as how he is a very experienced player. Went ahead and brought in another pawn. There we go. And continuing with my development. Clear the way, getting ready for castle when need be. He brings in his bishop, trying to control that diagonal. And I push up my D pawn. And he comes in with another advancing pawn. I put him in check. So forcing him to move his king. This way he can't, he loses the option to castle in the future. Bring in another check. Trying to squeeze out, chase his king out into the opening. Even though the computer would rather me advance the knight up. The king moves, has no other option. Bring out my knight, continuing with my development. And he brings his knight to the not quite sure why he posted there. It's not exactly the best spot for it. I suppose he wants to threaten my queen, chase her away. So I back up. Evidently I missed the check with the knight. Could have done that. He brings out his knight. Now I come in for a check with my knight. King runs back again. Bringing in my bishop, trying to close in on the king and try to smother him if I can. He brings down his A pawn, chase my knight away. So I back up. He brings his rook down. And his better move was a queen. Try to force a queen trade or make my queen retrieve. Brought in my knight to support my queen. However, computer doesn't like that very much. She prefers me opening up that and advancing that H pawn. And he moves in his knight. Not quite sure why he moved that there, trying to get a center post, or better posting for his knight, I suppose. I castle, and I guess a better move would have been the bishop, sacrifice the bishop, put the king in check, and take his queen. And he moves his knight back, or he advances his knight, trying to capture my rook. All I have to do is just move the rook, although the computer still wants me to take that pawn and sacrifice the bishop. So he retrieves his knight back to the position he was at. Computer prefers him to try to sacrifice do a queen trade instead. And move my bishop so I can connect my rooks. Computer still wants me to sacrifice him. And here comes the trade-off. The bishop took my bishop, and so therefore I took his knight, putting his king in check. King moves. And move my bishop there to support that pawn, even though computer says the best move is to move that pawn forward. He moves his pawn down. I advance my pawn to protect my center pawn, give it extra protection. He advances his pawn, trying to chase my knight away. And at that point, I put him in check, willing to do a trade there. He takes, and the knight backs up. Not sure why he did that. Could have done a knight trade. Came down for a check. He blocks with the knight, and I take his rook. And then he moves his bishop, attacks my queen, double attack there. I just move down and take. I wasn't ready for the queen's exchange just yet. So he comes on in and wants that queen exchange. The computer thought it was a big mistake. I just moved down. Once again, not willing to do the queen exchange just yet. So his knight took my knight, and I take it back with the pawn. The king takes my pawn. The queen comes back up. Moves his king back, expecting a threat there. Move my rook over, although the computer would rather me start advancing the pawn move. The king moves back. Bishop takes and puts his king in check. Here we do the bishop exchange, and I took the rook. Took it with the rook. However, I come to think of it, should have done it with the queen instead and put him in check. But hindsight is 20/20. He moves his knight to threaten my queen, to chase it away. The queen comes down, adding pressure. Knight goes back. Queen targets my A pawn. Rook to move over. His rook went up. He's trying to consolidate his pieces, get them working together. Move the rook up, trying to get into position to threaten the queen. However, he decided to do that to me, to threaten my queen first, so I just simply moved over, out of the way. The knight came back, trying to threaten the queen. Now I offered the queen trade, and he takes the queen trade. And I take back with the rook. Knight moves back, trying to protect that pawn. So I try to pin his knight. Moved my rook over. He starts advancing his pawn on the b file. Rook came up. Computer didn't like that much. He'd rather I take that pawn right off the bat. And another pawn move advancement. At this point I take that pawn, sacrifice the rook to capture his rook. His knight moves back to protect that pawn. I try to pin his pawn to the king. He moves forward, advances his pawn. I just capture. Free pawn's a free pawn. Everything helps at the end of the game. His knight moves back. Rook comes down to threaten the knight. His knight comes down to threaten my rook again. I come down and try to protect my pawn. He advances his pawn to attack my rook. I just take another pawn since he was giving it away. King moves down. Trying to run away with my H pawn. Knight comes up and tries to stop. I don't think he can reach that in time. His knight comes up. Take his rook, threaten his knight, get it off that file. His king takes my pawn. I take his knight. And at this point, he resigns because I've got a runaway pawn about to queen, and he's got two pawns. So, that's my game. Hopefully, it helps some people with their games. Have a great day.
I'm asking you to subscribe, like, and share if you like this video. The reason why is because we absolutely hate to basically ask for money. And if you just do this simple task, it allows us to make some money from YouTube. So thank you very much. Have a nice day.